Yo guys, sorry, you already know that today I'm going to be recapping week 16 of my 2025 video game backlog journey. Link in the description if you need the full explanation to the list and the series. But yeah, I'm 16 weeks into trying to conquer this list of games, and boy, this week has been very interesting, so I'm very excited to hop into this video. As always, I'm going to first talk about the previous week, talk about the games I played, any other notable things to talk about. Then I'll dive into each game that I talked about a little bit deeper, or each game that I played a little bit deeper, and then we'll wrap it up with a preview of the next week, and I think that one's going to be kind of crazy. So yeah, we'll just start with where we left off. Where I left off is, being in progress in terms of new games. There's Split Fiction, South of Midnight. And then in terms of the only one that I was still playing was Last of Us Part 2, but I did mention that I was going to potentially start playing Chrono Trigger. I don't know why I always immediately want to say Chrono Trigger, but I feel like it is Chrono, because like Chrono's time, like all that sort of thing, but whatever. Anyway, I did start playing it, so we have that, go me. And yeah, so I started playing that. I am still playing Last of Us Part 2, I'm not done. I have, I kind of looked up, like, a general area in terms of, like, chapter-wise, like, how far I am. I'm over halfway through the game, but there's definitely a little bit more than I expected, left. So I thought I was a little bit closer to the end, and I think there's, still a decent amount left, so I'm not quite there. South of Midnight, I still have not played, because this week was the week that, Blueprints kind of took over my life, alright? I'll talk more about it, but essentially it's a new game that just came out, and basically the only thing I heard about it is it's a puzzle game, and everybody's saying that it's like one of the greatest games of all time. It's going to be game of the year. It's got yada yada yada. It got this random hype out of nowhere. Dropped on Game Pass. Dropped for on PlayStation Plus Premium. So like, I don't know. It's a puzzle game that's getting a lot of hype. I don't actually know how many hours I have. I'm just gonna say like 8. I don't know. I'll have to check. It might even be more. But the existence of Blueprints, which was not something that I had expected to play, has sort of derailed a little bit of my progress. And yeah, so that has been fun. I'm just going to wait to talk about like each game individually. But I do want to sort of just touch on the fact that this past week, and definitely lately, I have been really just feeling it mentally in terms of like, I feel like there's so many games that I want to play, and especially like new games, and I'll get more into it when I get to like the preview of next week, but like there's a lot of new games coming out and a lot of new games that I keep kind of putting on the back burner, and I really want to get around to them. They are kind of getting in the way of my backlog progress, but I am still making progress, and but I need to do a better job doing that. But I'm not getting like mentally overwhelmed in the sense of, oh, there's like too many like things to do. I'm just like, I'm enjoying, so I should say I'm not like being mentally overwhelmed to the point that it's like messing up my vibe. I'm actually doing, like, mentally I'm doing fantastic, but I just don't always have my priorities in terms of like, so like sometimes I'll prioritize, my social life, sometimes I'll prioritize a new game, and then sometimes I'll prioritize a backlog game, and the thing that's been the lowest priority is my uploads, which is, I mean, it is what it is. I could have seen that coming, and it's not really that big of a deal. You're still gonna get it. I'm only doing one playthrough right now, although I am gonna be starting up a new playthrough soon of a new game, because if I don't do a playthrough of some of these new games that I plan on playing, then I'm never gonna get through all of them. Yeah, so my uploads, and also less so my uploads, but also I've been trying to work on a ranking video, and I had told myself that I will be done with it by the end of April, and at this point, I mean, the progress is not going very good, because these things just keep falling to the wayside, and instead I'm just like, let me play more Blueprints, let me go hang out with friends and family. So like, my priorities are sort of shifting. I still really am prioritizing this, like the backlog in the games and just playing games in general, but it is getting harder to keep that up with consistent like uploads of any kind and whatnot. So it's not really like a cause for concern yet. If it ever is, I'd make like a whole separate like update video or something like that. But yeah, it's been something. Like, I don't know, it's been freeing to not like upload every single day, and I don't know, I kind of like it. I don't know how other people feel, but that is what it is. The other thing that I wanted to mention that I haven't touched on in a while is towards the beginning of this whole series, I had mentioned that recording and editing this video and doing like the thumbnail and doing the, like it was like taking longer than I expected. But as the process has gone on, it's become very streamlined, and it actually doesn't take me that long to do at all. I actually generally, well, actually every single time so far, I always look forward to recording this video, and then editing has become a very streamlined and simple process. Obviously, it's not very in-depth. I never wanted it to be in-depth for the very reason that I didn't want it to be taking up hours and hours of my life just editing this video series. So the process got very simple, and it is not really like a mentally overwhelming thing at this point anymore, which I think is cool. So let's go ahead and dive into each game that I played this week. This part actually shouldn't even take that long because we only have 3 games to talk about. So I'm going to start with Chrono Trigger because that is a game from the actual backlog that I have started. So let's go ahead and get into the background as to why Chrono Trigger is on this list, because I actually have played a bit of it before. I actually own it on PS1. I actually have this like combo disc. It's like Final Fantasy Chronicles and Chrono Trigger. It's like I don't know, both discs like in one little packaging. And I don't even remember what Final Fantasy Chronicles is. I feel like it's like Final Fantasy 4, and no, don't ask me about the numbering because I don't know which one is which. That's a different story for a different day. That actually, it's not a different day because it'll probably never get told. But Chrono Trigger is a game that I've tried to play multiple times, and generally what happens is I'll say that I have fallen off a couple times. One time I'm pretty sure I just got like stuck in terms of I couldn't figure out where to go. I think there was another time that I tried playing from the beginning, and then I got to a point where I like couldn't get past a fight or something. And there's just a lot of like little things that every time I would try to like go through it, I would get stuck somewhere. And I guess at the time maybe it was like harder for me to like look up walkthroughs or something like that. And so I've always liked the atmosphere. I've always liked the idea. I love a good time travel story. And everything sort of clicks, but there's always been like one thing that just sort of like throws a hitch anytime I try to play it. But at some point, the reason why it's in the Steam category is because I must have bought it on some probably pretty cheap sale, knowing that eventually I would want to get around to like fully playing it. And yeah, so so far I think about 4.5 hours through the game, and I'm not quite. I think I'm very close to where I have fallen off before. What I'm trying to do differently this time is, well, one, I feel like I have a better idea of how to approach a genre like this. You know, a classic, it's kind of turn-based JRPG. It's a little bit active, a little bit turn-based. But I'm doing a little bit more grinding in terms of, like, I'm not just running past, like, enemies because I don't want to end up under-leveled. I'm going out of my way, really trying to find items, really trying to optimize equipment. So far, money does not seem to be an issue. Items do not seem to be an issue. I seem to be able to replenish things pretty easily. So I'm thinking that just like with my experience in playing more games and my, I don't know, open-mindedness to really want to let this game click with me this time, I feel like I've changed my approach and it's been working really well. So far, I am absolutely loving my time with Chrono Trigger. There has been a couple times where I've just had to look up a little guide, just because. And it's been, like, little things, too. Like, very early on, I was at the fair, and, like, there's, like, a certain NPC that I had to talk to a second time for it to, like, trigger the event that happens to kickstart the game. I was just, like, wandering around, and I'm like, all right, what do I have to do? So, little things like that. Or one, the first time you travel into the past, I didn't remember where that gate was where I had to, like, where I traveled from, and you're supposed to go back, and I was like, I don't remember where that is. So little things like that, that's really just due to my memory, or just like a little thing of like, oh, I didn't talk to the right person. But I don't really hold that against the game so far. So but outside of that, I feel like I've done a pretty good job of just my own self, like exploring around, getting some items, grinding, doing some extra battles, and just really making sure that I'm not ending up underleveled in any sense. So yeah, Chrono Trigger has been really fun. I'm noticing that I didn't really even talk about what the game is, but is, you know, a very a classic JRPG. I think it's from like 1995 or something like that. So it is a well-beloved classic, and I mean, I can see why. The characters seem really nice. The music is good, combat is fluid, and like I said, it mixes kind of turn-based, but there's like an active system where like if you just stand there, like the enemies like will attack. Like there's a bar that fills up, and like that's when you have your chance to attack. So it's pretty, it's pretty fast paced, and it really just keeps you, like, it keeps your mind active, it keeps you thinking, it keeps you engaged. That's the word I'm looking for. It keeps you more engaged than if you're just sitting there with like a turn-based, and I mean, I like some turn-based RPGs and whatnot. I just think this battle system is a little bit more engaging and better. So I'm excited to dive into new parts of Chrono Trigger that I haven't seen before, because I'm pretty close to I think it was somewhere in like the factory. It's somewhere where you go into the future. Actually think I remember opening up there's like an area where you can like challenge the final boss at any time, and I think I've gotten to that. Like, I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that I'm fairly close to that happening, meaning that I should be pretty close to the furthest point that I've ever been, and I'm excited to see new stuff. So that is the Chrono Trigger spiel. Now I'm going to go ahead and talk about Blueprints. So Blueprints is a puzzle game, and I only really heard about it just scrolling through TikTok, and now I'm seeing people that I follow on YouTube talking about it, because really it was one of these games that before it even came out, reviewers and whatnot were saying like, hey, this is like 10 out of 10, one of the best games ever, like must play, yada yada yada. I remember scrolling by it on Game Pass and thinking that the art style looked cool, and then after the game came out, like, people that I've also just seen, whether it's people that I follow on YouTube or people that I've just show up on my For You page on TikTok, kind of repeat the same thing. So it's not just like a game journalist thing, it's like, hey, people are saying, oh, this is like an incredible game, must play, you need to play it, yada yada yada. So I did, and I will say, if you just go into this game with the expectation that it is going to be the greatest thing that you've ever played, you are probably going to be disappointed. I do think that Blueprints, at least for me, as somebody who does not play a lot of puzzle games like this, I needed to have a better like mental state. That's not the right word. That's not the right terms. I'm trying to think of like how to phrase it. But you need to understand, I feel like, what you're getting into and what you're doing. Like, you don't. Blueprints is a game that you are navigating this mansion, and it's like a roguelike. So each day that you go into the mansion, the rooms are like reset, and every time you walk up to a door, you get a choice as to a room to place down. And there's 45 rooms on like the grid, and your goal is to try and find the elusive room 46, so that way you can so you can inherit the mansion from your grandfather, or I think it's grandfather. So yeah, that's kind of like the basics of like where you're going. But in terms of just like, if you go in being like your only puzzle, the only thing you're trying to do is get to that room 46, I feel like that is where people get really frustrated. And it did take a couple of, I watched some videos. There's actually some really good videos of just like general overview tips that you should know to have the right mentality going into a game like this. If that makes sense, because you are not always going to feel like you're making progress. You are also not going to realize that things you're coming across are puzzles until way later. The game encourages you to take notes. I've like fully embraced the mentality of like, I'm taking notes. I'm going to try not to look up things unless I desperately need to. But I do want to keep some puzzles for myself. There's been some puzzles that I've been able to solve, and it has been very gratifying. But yeah, so I think just knowing the mentality of like, this is a puzzle game, like, to get the best experience, I feel like you need to immerse yourself into like, this is a puzzle game, let me not overcomplicate things, let me just, see what the game throws at me and just do things one at a time. I think you get like each day or whatever, and as far as I know, there's like no time limit, and I'm on probably day like 14, yeah, I think I'm on day 14, and I've heard of people playing, till day 40, 50. I've heard people putting hundreds of hours into the game, going past day 100, and yeah, so I think I underestimated just how long it might take to beat this game. But despite the fact that I'm still mixed sometimes, there are some times I come away from a play session feeling frustrated that I didn't make as much progress as I would have liked, or there's a lot of loose ends that I'm trying to find the right room for, and the room's not popping up for me. There's a lot of little things that can sort of aggravate you, but I feel like if you just, let yourself just be immersed in the world, let yourself, find a new room and see what's in store. Try to just search for clues, just take notes, and then without trying to worry about solving like every little thing right at once. I think it's easier to just let things happen and hope for the best. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is just trying to solve as many puzzles as I can, try and do the best I can. And if it ever gets to a point where I'm just completely bored, I just completely can't figure it out, or I don't know, I'm not doing literally anything, maybe I'll like look up a guide to like figure out the rest. But this is definitely a game that I feel like should not, you shouldn't like spoil yourself on solutions. But it is like a pretty intense puzzle game. So yeah, I don't know if that was like a good overview of that. I would definitely look into the game. Like I said, it's on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus Premium if you happen to have either of those services. I'm not sure what the price of the game is if you buy it on Steam. It might be like $30. I'm not sure. Somewhere between the 20 to 40 range. And it's going to be one of those games that if you're not like, if you're just like a casual gamer, like people are going to be like, there's going to be a lot of people not having heard of this game when it comes to like Game Awards time. It's going to be something that's going to be like nominated for Game of the Year award, and like half the internet's going to be like, what's this game? Like, so if you just want to be in the know, I would definitely just like look into it, because I feel like it's going to be one of those that people are going to forget about like 4 months from now. But it's going to be like, you know, game journalists and whatnot who I feel like have a pretty heavy influences to like what ends up in like Game Awards and stuff like that, are all talking highly about this game. So just one of those that if you want to be in the know, it is worth looking into and seeing if it's your vibe or not. Okay, so somehow I always end up making these videos like this is gonna end up being longer than 20 minutes, and I was like, I'm literally talking about 3 games today. That's crazy. Yeah, because I'm not talking about Split Fiction. I still haven't started South of Midnight. So the last game, as always, I am going to talk about is The Last of Us Part 2. Also interesting to note, or something to note, is that the show season 2 of Last of Us did start airing. I did not watch the first episode yet. I was going to, but I just didn't. So I mean, I'm not really worried about getting spoiled on the show, just because I'm like playing the game. And I mean, if a couple episodes, you know, come out and then I just like binge through them, I feel like that might be a better watching experience anyway. So I'm not too concerned, but that did happen. I'm probably immediately going into spoilers with my little spiel today. So if you do not want to be spoiled on Last of Us Part 2, skip till you don't see any gameplay on screen, and you'll be covered there. So Last of Us Part 2, where I'm at now, is I am fully playing as Abby again. So I had been wondering, like, where's Abby? I thought this was a game that was going to kind of bounce between both Ellie and Abby, but instead it feels like I kind of played through Ellie's almost whole story. You know, she like as Ellie, like she came back, Ellie went to the aquarium, killed basically everybody that Abby knows, and then comes back to the theater that they're kind of making it their home base, and Abby was there. Abby shoots Jesse. Jesse, I'm pretty sure, is dead, and I think is holding Dina hostage, and it's just like this climactic moment that, like, I don't know how much more can happen once that gets resolved. And that's the moment that it kind of flashes back, and now you play as Abby, and you're gonna, it feels like I'm playing as Abby and her journey to get to that spot of like the theater. How I imagine the game is gonna end up going, where it seems like it's gonna be Abby, you know, her journey to get to the theater, and then it culminates with, I don't know if she's gonna shoot Dina or Ellie, or if they're gonna, like, I have no idea how that's gonna finish. But I think it's a lot of backstory on Abby, which is an interesting way to do it, because now they're going to start to try to get me attached to characters that I already know that Ellie has killed, like Owen and Mel, I think that's their names. And yeah, so that's an interesting tactic to like get a player to care about characters that you know are already dead. But I'm interested to see how it goes. But yeah, I think I have a lot to learn about Abby's story, but it seems pretty straightforward at the jump that she is the daughter of the doctor that was going to be able to use Ellie to make the vaccine to cure the whole thing. And when Joel took Ellie away, and then also like fought and killed the doctors, including her dad, she is a little annoyed by that, and so that explains the revenge part, which I kind of assumed that was the reason anyway. But I didn't know that she was like the daughter, but I kind of assumed that the Joel's death was related to the fact that he destroyed humanity's hope of, curing the virus. So that is where I'm at with that. So we'll see how Abby's story continues on and culminates, and then what happens when I eventually reach back to this climax at the theater, and if there's more after it or not, I have no idea. So I'm interested to find out, but that is where I'm at with Last of Us. I'm still enjoying it, but I have, I still have some reservations. I don't know if it's gonna be my favorite game of all time, so we'll see. I will let the game do its thing, and we'll go from there. So that is going to end my spiel for The Last of Us Part 2, so we're going to transition to the final part of the video where I'm going to preview the week ahead. And this is a very interesting week because there's more new games coming out, and I am already kind of overloading myself with new games, but I'm getting close to kind of just saying screw it and just starting to play like 8 different games. And I know that sounds crazy, but at this point, let me just talk you through it. So we have Chrono Trigger, we have Last of Us Part 2. I'm going to continue to play those. That's not an issue. If I don't think I'm going to beat either of those within the next week, if I do, maybe I'll start up, Miles Morales or something. That's a thing, right? But right now, I've got Blueprints. Split Fiction I haven't played over the last week. I'm not sure the next time I'm going to play it. I know RTK is still in the middle of moving thing. Although I have been told, because my nephew's also playing it, that I think I'm only a few hours away from the end, actually. So Split Fiction, I might not be playing that for that much longer. But I do want to start South of Midnight, and I do want to play that. Some games that have come out that I've just kind of pushed to the backside include Tales of Iron 2, Bloom and Rage Lost Records or something like that. I forget. There's like Part 1 and Part 2. Both have come out at this point, and I don't know if there's more than just 2. I don't know if that's Part 1, Part 2, or if it's like, because it's by the makers of like Life is Strange, so I don't know if there's gonna be like 5 episodes of that. But that is something that I want to play. Civ 7 I haven't touched, and I think that's it. But in the next week, what is that game called? Claire Obscure Expedition 33. That comes out within the next week that I want to play. I'm going to be starting a playthrough of the newest game by, not by, but the creator of Danganronpa is involved in the creative process. I think it's like 100 something Last Defense Academy or something. That I'm just going to make it to a playthrough just because it'll be easier that way. But like, that's just a lot of games. Like, that's a lot of games, and if I just keep pushing off South of Midnight while I'm playing Blueprints, will I ever get around to playing it? If Claire Obscure Expedition 33 comes out and then I just like push this off, like, I'm pushing too many games off, and I don't want to do that. So there is a chance that I'm gonna try to literally, like, every moment of free time, probably be putting in some time to a game. I'm going to try to keep a rotation to make sure that no game gets left behind. But I really do think that if I just keep letting all these new games come out that I have, I've already planned. I was like, I planned that I was going to be interested in them. I planned that I was going to play them. The only wrinkle in that has been Blueprints. Everything else was in the plans from the get-go. For the most part. And, I'm getting a little overwhelmed with how many games there are, but I don't, like, if I just keep putting them on a backlog, then I'm just going to end up with a list like this, and I'm like, I want to address this right away. So I might literally be adding like 4 games to this little column here. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but that's kind of how I feel right now, because I feel like if I can at least get started in some of these games, maybe I can find out that one of them's not that good. Maybe I can find out that one of them's like shorter than I thought. I'm gonna try and do my best to balance both of these. And yeah, maybe as I put some more time into some of these new games now, that will then clear up some time for me to put some more time into the backlog later. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. Yeah, I'm just going to do my best to keep playing through games in the backlog as well as new games, and we're just going to see what happens. So I might be making a big mistake by trying to overload myself, but that's something that I might try and do, and we'll just see how it goes, and I will let you know how it goes next week and in the next couple weeks as as I continue this experiment. But yeah, I think I have covered everything. So if you have any feedback for anything I said or any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will see you around next week for what is going to be week 17. So that is super exciting. Hope you are excited. But yeah, I'm going to get out of here, and I will see you next week. Goodbye.